Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have all of you here today for our meeting on September 16th, 2025. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Holly, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Woosley.
Here.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logston.
Here.
And Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all the members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right. Do we have any additions? I believe we do. We have one that has to do with opioid disbursement request.
Two.
Pardon?
2 for opioid.
3.
3 for opioid.
Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, I meant the overall subject
Okay.
is opioids, and we've got a couple of them in there. So, is there anything else?
Where do you want to put
Where do
this?
we put that?
I was going to put it right under payables.
Okay.
And do I have right here? Is this it? I think it is. All right. Is there anything else? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there approval for the minutes of our last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Abstain.
carries. Abstain, one abstention. All right, before we go forward with public comment, I'd like to make a comment of my own, and I hope on behalf of all of us here. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the passing of Charlie Kirk. Although he appeared on television often and his name was familiar to many younger people as well as older individuals, as a public figure with conservative views, we've all learned much more about him than we may have known previously. Charlie was many things to many people: a devoted husband and father, a leader with strong convictions, a voice for faith, patriotism, and values many of us hold dear, and someone who held the attention of hundreds of thousands of people in a manner that made him very unique. We remember today not only an individual, but the larger truth that democracy depends on participation, on people who care enough to speak up, to organize and stand up for what they believe, to do it in a constructive and nonviolent manner. Charlie Kirk was one of these people. The death of Charlie Kirk occurred a long way from Oldham County, yet there are certain overtones. Since the advent of social media, our society has been inundated with pejorative language. When I grew up in the 50s and 60s, quite a long time ago, my parents and the parents of other kids told us all that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. While that saying may have been true in the past, it really doesn't seem to ring true any longer. Ideas conveyed by words, sometimes very intentional and other times loosely spoken, do damage. They can damage someone's spirit, destroy a reputation, and even lead to taking someone's life. We've all heard the words fascist, Nazi, white supremacist, racist, dictator. Those words seem to be repeated almost continuously. All it takes is one deranged person who thinks he's solving a problem to act on those words. Words and phrases like liar, double-dealing, corrupt, under the table, abuse of power, misconduct, collusion, bribery, good old boys, are all easily inserted into a Facebook post with little thought, if any, about the ramifications that may result. As residents of Oldham County, we can all join in honoring the memory and work of Charlie Kirk by listening carefully, engaging respectfully, and working cooperatively toward a country and community where positive civic engagement is not the best policy, but the only policy. And now, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Thank you very much. Today we have a presentation today. We have public comment next. Don't want to skip that. Is there anybody here who's come to address the court today in public comment? You're welcome to come forward. And we ask you to state your name and address.
My name is Ted Eubanks. I
I
live.
might ask you to try to bring that microphone
sorry.
a little closer.
I'm a little bit too short.
Right. Project if you can.
My name is Ted Eubanks. I live at 1911 Eagles Landing Drive in LaGrange. About 2.5 years ago, I was asked to look into our drainage issues that we had in the community. Well, I ended up with Magistrate Jeffrey's guidance. I asked him to help me, and we went through the process, and we finally ended up with the court, and y'all helped us get the problem resolved. Also, I'd like to thank the county engineer, Mr. Silliman, for his expertise, and I hope that you'll take our thanks to heart, because we do thank you. It seems as though our problem is resolved, I'll put it that way. So thank all of you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your courtesy. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court at this point? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment and go on to the first item on today's agenda, and that is a report from Kim Hides, our tourism director, about Oldham County tourism.
Good afternoon. I didn't come last year for an update. We were in the middle of ARPA craziness. But I wanted to take this time, and I've practiced and I've timed to try to keep it at 20 minutes, but we all know how that is. So a lot has happened with tourism since COVID. A lot of changes have been made since COVID, not just in Oldham County, but in the industry in general. So I want to kind of give you an update on that as well, not just the last year in tourism like I normally do. As with most companies, after you're in business for several years, your mission changes and you adjust according to the market and you adjust according to the needs of the people you serve. And Oldham County has done just that. In the last year, we looked at where we were as a county in the last 5 years and in the last 10 years and developed this mission statement accordingly. The general overall mission is, as Oldham County's official tourism development and marketing agency, we drive economic growth and enhance quality of life through destination development and strategic tourism marketing of the county's unique assets. We promote what can be found only in Oldham. And in looking at the mission statement, we realized that a lot of what we had focused on in previous years, because all of us have been here for some time, and obviously when you're here for this amount of time, what you have in the community, your assets change, new businesses move in, businesses move out. So we broke that down to a 5-year mission. So in the last 5 years, our mission was to get back to our pre-COVID numbers. We had to pivot. And using changes in the industry that were a result of COVID, not just how the county had changed, but just COVID changes in general. So I get asked all the time about what does tourism do in overall in the industry, but to represent Oldham County. So I thought I would put these in bullets so you know what we do on a day-to-day basis. We do branding and storytelling of Oldham County's story. And what that means is for tourism and for people who live and work here is what is our uniqueness as a county? What do we have that people can't get closer to home? What makes us worth people moving for? And up until tourism, our education was the reason that people came to Oldham County almost by accident. If they weren't looking for a school to attend because they got their job relocated them here, that's what people came for, was our education. Other than that, some people knew about the train in LaGrange, but really, as a county, we had no brand. We had no story to tell that was of public knowledge. So we've spent a lot of years defining what our uniqueness is and what do we have during COVID. I really honed in on what do we have in Oldham County that can only be found here in Oldham County. So the other part of what we do is destination development. We work with the local attractions. We've worked a lot in the last several years with the communities to become visitor ready and marketable, because we had a lot of counties that had nothing in them. We had, when I first came, Udell was not even open to the public. So a lot has changed. We didn't have Kentucky Artisan in Third Turn. We didn't have attractions. We were known for a train that ran 70 times a day. That was really the only tourism we had. So we've spent a lot of time with communities, getting them visitor ready and marketable, and developing additional assets and programming when needed to fit into other communities and to fit into what we offer as a region. We are one of 9 regions in Kentucky. We're the largest region. I'm president of that region. Before I became president, I was marketing director for that region for 12 years. So I'm really familiar with what the other communities have and what Oldham County has that is either a close second or we outdo other communities, which is what we do in tourism. So we've developed programs along the way to fill niches and needs at a state level, because again, we had nothing. So from a tourism standpoint, it's not just about marketing the county. We had to have something to market. And tourism is the one who've had to fight to build those things, so we had races to run with everybody else. We also do marketing and sales, and obviously we do marketing and advertising. We're tourism, and you would know that. We do targeted advertising. We really focus on 6 states. We do motor coach bus itineraries in addition to that, and you'll know why that's important later. We also work in collaborative statewide programs and products that require us to develop new things and branch out and do things that we don't currently have. You'll see some examples of that. We are also the marketing agency for Oldham County as a destination. When a visitor looks at Oldham County, or when somebody looks to a business, or when they want to move, they look at Oldham County as a tourist first. They come as a visitor first. They come to visit family and friends. That's the number one motivator of tourism. So how do we get those people to look at Oldham County to live, work, and not just play, but how do we get them to spend money? How do we get them to keep our attractions and our businesses in business while other development is happening? That's what tourism does. So we make sure, a lot of what we've had to do in the last several years is to make sure that Oldham County even has a seat at the table. Because other than our education, people didn't know who Oldham County was. That we were known for our education, and that was a common thing. But if you weren't interested in moving out this way, or if your company didn't relocate you, you wouldn't know about our education otherwise, because why would you? The community benefits of tourism are balancing tourism with creating value for residents. And our goal is that both happen. That's difficult in some instances because of the statutes that form us and the reason that we're able to collect that transient room tax. But lucky for us, we have a good measurement of what the success of tourism is. We represent Oldham County in regional and state level initiatives addressing ways to promote tourism, how to attract tourism, such as movies. How do we bring movies to the county? How do we benefit financially from that? How do we bring attractions? How do we become attraction worthy? We represent tourism and legislation. I'm one of 5 tourism directors in the state who have been here for any length of time. So I get called on to represent tourism in a lot of legislative meetings and a lot of industry meetings. And they look to Oldham County as what they want to be. They aspire to be what Oldham County is. We're also tourism development guest speakers and consultants in other communities. I just got back from a convention in Hancock County, Indiana, where I'd been working with them since February on their tourism development, and they are considered a sister city. They are kind of like the Oldham County of Indianapolis. And I was the keynote speaker for Kentucky Derby Fest at the kickoff luncheon for the Kentucky Derby Festival. So they are interested in how Oldham County works tourism and how we bring people into a county when people think of us as a rural podunk town. Our job is, as tourism, to be looked at on the same level as other people and as other communities. We also educate and promote Oldham County as a county-wide destination, and I can't stress this enough. I'm reminded of it at least 2 or 3 times a week, but we market Oldham County just like Sonoma County does, or just like Brown County does. Oldham County is the destination. Oldham County, for us, is not city government, Oldham County. It's not city-county difference. It's geography. It's geography. We want people to open businesses in Oldham County wherever they want to open that business. We want people to move here anywhere in the county they want. And we want them to be happy, and we want them to enjoy their time in Oldham County, whether they're a visitor or whether they decide to move here later. But Oldham County represents all the cities in the county. So because we all live here, you might have a hard time thinking about ways and reasons that people visit the county and what's the draw of our county. I'll tell you what our draws are, because it's not the train on Main Street, which is the one thing that we were known for originally. We have a lot, as you can see. But as residents, sometimes we don't notice that. And we don't focus on what we have in the county. Sometimes our noses are to the grindstone and we don't know what's around us. People laugh sometimes about us being the farm tour capital of Kentucky. But before 2012, the only place you could do a horse farm tour in the horse capital of the United States, the only place you could do a horse farm tour was in Lexington. That's it. And not only was that the only place you could do a horse farm tour, you couldn't touch a horse. You couldn't even touch a horse on the tours. Well, I knew we could do better than that. So I met with all the horse farms, all the racehorse farms, and that was at the time when they were worried about how much pockets they were going to win in horse racing and whether to send it all to Saratoga or send it all to Del Mar Racetrack because our purses were too small. So I went to them with the idea that we would be the farm tour capital of Kentucky and we would give Lexington a run for their money. So in 2012, we became the farm tour capital of Kentucky. Today, we have 5 racehorse farms that we market on a regular basis. We are the only place in the country where you can see the entire life of a racehorse. That's a huge deal when Kentucky is the horse capital of the country. We are the reason that people come for horse farm tours. Our Underground Railroad history, as awesome as our history is, from a tourism standpoint, we needed to be bigger than what our local history is. So now, all these years later, the History Center has the Underground Railroad designation by the National Park Service, and we have that Underground Railroad history. That Underground Railroad history lets our history be known by the masses, and that's what's going to be a draw to Oldham County. then once they get here, they can learn about D.W. Griffith, and they can learn about Rob Morris and all the other significant people that we have in this county. But the National Park Service put our Underground Railroad history on the map. Picture what it's like to have a bourbon distillery in Kentucky. Does that seem like a big deal? Not when almost 90 counties in Kentucky have a bourbon distillery. That's no longer a big deal. It used to be. So we have to figure out how to make our bourbon distillery and work with our bourbon distillery to figure out how to make it unique and make that experience unique. So a couple months ago, we did the ribbon cutting on the new clubhouse. It's one of 2 places in the state that you can sample from the barrel, bottle your own bourbon, and take it home right then. It's called thieving. Just last Saturday, we had a group of 52 people in. We spent 2.5 hours at the distillery. Then we left there and went to the clubhouse and spent another 2.5 hours there. What that did for the economy of Oldham County and Kentucky Artisan was each person of the 52 bought a minimum of 2 bottles of bourbon with an average price of $65 a bottle times 52. That was fun money. That's what they did as fun money. There were a lot of people on that tour, by the way, that bought a lot more than 2 bottles. We now know that we have the largest beer garden in Kentucky. When you have a beer garden, that's not a big deal when you have a beer garden. Lexington has all kinds of beer gardens. But we in Oldham County have the largest beer garden in the state. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because it's the largest in the state. It's a bigger deal because it's the 2nd largest in the country. We have multiple events. We have more reasons. You don't have to love beer to go to Third Turn Oldham Gardens. They have all kinds of events that showcase other things. Our garden excellence. We have really focused on this, and like I said, when I came in 2007, Udell was not even open yet. Paul Cappiello had just come to Udell and he was trying to figure out what to do with it. And a couple months ago, we just did the ribbon cutting on the new state-of-the-art garden surrounding the castle. We've had major national media in town since then for our garden excellence. Udell, I'll talk about a project that came as a result of that a little bit later. And Creasy Mahan, another awesome feature that we have. One in Crestwood and one in Udell. One in Crestwood and one in Goshen. So that's additional county outside of LaGrange. It's additional county attractions that we have. The one thing that we did during COVID, a couple things that we continued to do, we doubled our advertising during COVID because there was less competition in marketing because everybody stopped marketing knowing nobody was coming. But we advertising and marketing, and luckily today, 5 years later, we still have those same advertising contracts with the same people for the same amount of money because we stuck with them in a time when everybody stopped marketing. So those relationships have continued. But one of the things that we really beefed up during COVID was our green space marketing. We looked at all of our parks in the county, all of our just open green spaces. We have 16 parks that we market in our preserve in Oldham County. And you'll see products that came as a result of that in the last 5 years. Of course, we have train history. We've always had that. That's our county seat. If you haven't been to the train museum and you've been to it before, our train museum is awesome now. The guys have really kicked it up. They've raised money. We have such a cool attraction that an attraction was designed based on our train history. The other cool thing about our train history, we have the train museum, we have Main Street Train, but we also are able to showcase our train history in Pewee Valley, which is where everybody came. When the train came to Oldham County, it came there first. It came to Pewee Valley first. Not that Pewee Valley is any different than Main Street, but it came to Pewee Valley first. We've been able to focus on other communities in the county to have a bigger county presence in Kentucky state marketing. People used to vacation in Pewee Valley. They used to get on the train and vacation in Pewee Valley, if you didn't know that. Our Rivertown tourism. Westport, to me, since I've been here, has always been a hidden gem. To figure out what to do with that has been interesting over the years because the people of Westport didn't want car traffic and a ton of people and a ton of attractions and all the things, but we have figured out how to bring Rivertown tourism to Westport without really increasing car traffic. And being fair to knock on wood, who has now in the last month added 2 short-term rental properties, so we now have accommodations in Westport, which is awesome. We have so many unique events in the county. Some need work to be bigger tourism events, but just a couple unique events that you may or may not know about, that if you don't have a presence at these events, you might want to buy a ticket. Our Day of the Dead celebration that the History Center does, we brought WDRB here to do a whole day of coverage on Day of the Dead. In our region of 15 counties, we are the only one that has a Day of the Dead celebration, much less to that extent. So the History Center has done an awesome job at bringing to life that event. That's not something that we might not be interested in, but there's a whole segment of our population that is. So as we grow, we will develop more events for more than just the people that are from here and what we're interested in. There are enough people moving into the county that we need to find out what they want and offer up what they want. RailFest is another new event. Hopefully that will continue. We, as Oldham County Tourism, paid almost $3,000 to advertise RailFest for them so they could spend their money on getting things to repeat that festival in the years to come. So buy their signage and their permanent things. So we said that we would pay for the major marketing for RailFest, and that's what we did. Arts on the Green, obviously a festival that's growing every year. It's at the Maples Park. That advertises our green spaces. Forget that it's in Crestwood. It advertises our big green spaces and a new park, the newest park in Oldham County that opened during COVID. My office is in the Maples Park. If you haven't been to my office, I've been there for 4 years now. Our art culture is on the rise in Oldham County, and it's not just our art, it's our theater, it's our music. Do you know the top 5 bluegrass bands in Kentucky are from Oldham County? Do you know the bluegrass capital of Kentucky? Owensboro. But the top 5 bluegrass bands in Kentucky are from Oldham County. We also have performance groups that are looking at coming in because our art, our theater, our music. We have one of the longest running community theaters in the state of Kentucky at Little Colonel Playhouse, which now has sold out for almost every show. I mean, who would have thought that? We have unique shopping. I just read an article the other day about the rise of antique and thrifting shopping, which to us might not be a big deal, but since COVID, it's increased 32% for tourism because of recycling and reusing, and the younger generation, they're all into that. So our antiques and thrifting shops, we actually have an antique road trip that we've been marketing for 6 years. That's picked up momentum as our new thrifting shops like Crestwood Mercantile move in. As Uptown Country goes from a tiny little shop downtown to a big warehouse in Buckner. Who would have saw that coming? Our unique dining, you might think I eat at the same 3 places all the time. Cravings by Bianca, if you haven't gone to the little shop behind CVS Pharmacy in Crestwood, was just voted last year best tacos in Kentucky. Isn't that crazy? And it's a little drive-through. They don't even have seats. Best tacos in Kentucky. A Taste of Thai, I can tell you every time I have media in town, especially KET, we have to eat at Taste of Thai because it's the best Thai food, authentic, in the whole state of Kentucky. We have people who come specifically for that. Knock on wood, people come for fried bologna and spicy pimento cheese, and that might not be our thing, but people come for that. Actually, that would be my thing. People do come for that, and they come for mile-high homemade cakes and pies. That's what people come for. Our unique event spaces. Let me just say, it might not be in some of our budgets to pay $400 for a ticket to an awesome event at Ashburn Farms, but they sell out every single time they have an event. Duncan Memorial Chapel is the most visited wedding venue we have in the county because they flip it every 2 hours for a wedding. Udell Gardens, they have so many new event spaces that they've woven throughout the whole gardens that you can not just do the barn, but you can do the covered pavilion. Now you can do the space around the castle. The Maples Park Barn, that gave another event space. And City Place is basically our only conference space in the county. So I also want you to know the challenges that we face in tourism, because you should know that we run tourism like a business. It's a business. We're always looking for what we can do better, always looking for things that we don't do as well. One challenge for tourism is to maintain our authenticity and balance between celebrating and promoting what we have and the awesomeness of the things that we have that can't be found elsewhere, and it becoming too commercial. And we have that issue with one of our farm tours. They used to be all hands-on and working farm tours, and now we have a couple that have gotten really commercial, and that's the feedback that we get. So we talk to the farms about how do you tone that down and make that more working farm, because that's what people want. And maintaining our uniqueness as only in Oldham, especially from other cities, it's disheartening when you find the things that you've worked hard for in other cities' attraction material and marketing material. And it happens on a regular basis. I can tell you, if you go to the Kentucky Derby Museum, you're going to see an Oldham County horse there. So they have a live horse, and they don't have to drive to Oldham County. I was working the state fair. I sent out the sign-up sheet to everybody in the county, all the attractions that are promoted all year. So imagine the feeling of walking into the state fair and being at the Oldham County booth and looking over at Louisville Tourism's booth, and there's one of your major attractions sitting in Louisville Tourism's booth, and they wouldn't work in the Oldham County Tourism booth. It's disheartening. So maintaining that uniqueness and developing Oldham County pride is difficult. It's pride within the attraction, so they can say, we're proud that we're Crestwood, we're proud that we're LaGrange, we're proud that we're in Westport, we're proud that we're in Buckner. But I'll tell you what, sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get Oldham County proud. It's not city versus county, and that's its own thing. There's a lot of energy that is spent just diffusing the competition between city and county. And our attractions not sending our own people to Louisville for attractions instead of doing what we have in our own community. So that's been tricky to figure out how to do that and how can we do that better. And other communities have that same issue who bump up against major cities. So, but it's an ongoing frustration. We also have to figure out how to maintain relevance in a digital world, and not just a digital world, but just staying current in technology. We're still a one-person office. Luckily, thank God for AI, and I started using AI 2 years ago, so I've gotten pretty good at that. But just staying current on technology and continued education, and how do you offset lower attention spans? That's a major thing. As the younger generation comes up, how do you keep their attention? And how do you, in a community that doesn't have a lot for kids, how do you maintain mixed families, multi-generational families? How do you entertain them? Those are things that we look at as tourism. How can we develop tourism today for tomorrow? And what is tourism going to leave as a legacy How are we going to, so we're not starting over every year. So we are looking for major tourism projects in all communities. I'm also teaching organizations how to reimagine their established community events. We have several events that are really good, what I call diversions. So if you're already coming to Oldham County for things, we have, on average, I can tell you because we maintain the event calendar for the entire county, we average between 50 and 60 events a month. And I talk about them every month on Don G, every month. But to get those events to where they're going to bring in tourists who come in for those events, that's a completely different ballgame than a residential community event and then an event that brings in people and requires them to book a hotel and plan their stay, not just show up for a couple hours. And here's the other thing. This is where we are, and this is my major frustration and something I go back and forth with on a regular basis. For us, a day trip of one person to Oldham County brings $74 into Oldham County economy. $74 a person into Oldham County's economy. But for an overnight stay, a couple brings $446 for one night. That's for one night. So if we can get them to stay 2 nights. So to balance a day trip with overnight stays is difficult because the more Shelby County promotes, the more Louisville promotes, the more our products and programs are seen in other people's marketing materials. We are, as Oldham County, we are a destination that you have to plan on. We're not a destination that you just show up. You have to plan. We're over here on 71 and there's not much else over here. So it requires planning. And remember, for every hour that somebody has to drive to get to you, you have to give them 4 hours of things to do when they get here for you to be worth that trip for them. That's tourism statistics. For every hour they have to drive, we have to give them 4 hours of things to do. So here are some new programs and promotions and some collaborations that we've done over the last 5 years. You see, you have a sample of your official visitor's guide, and this was a labor of love for a year. And this was the first piece. One of our 5-year plans was to get enough developed programs and assets in each community that we had things to promote in each one of the cities. So in our community guide, it wasn't so heavy Crestwood and so heavy LaGrange. We really wanted to do a county-wide visitor's guide, and we accomplished it with that. We also wanted that piece to be the official marketing piece for the county. Very heavy photography, very heavy, less words, more photography, but a really good marketing piece for economic development to use in their office when they're talking to people, and to be a good leave behind when they have meetings with investors or people looking to move, or realtors who wanted to leave something behind when they're talking about quality of life issues. So that's what that official visitor's guide is. We rolled it out in December last year as a bicentennial. I asked the History Center to put together a timeline for me that I could include in there. We had to cut some things out just because of spacing. We also get requests for postcards all the time, so we were able in the back to incorporate tear-out postcards, so when people come to the office, they can pick those up. We have them, if anybody wants some to do your jobs in your business, we have them in the Welcome Center. So here are some other major things that we have done in the last, I'm going to say most of it 3 years, in trying to recover from COVID. We just did our 3rd annual Old Kentucky Home Bike Tour. This was a collaboration. We're a major sponsor with the Louisville Bicycle Association. This is the 3rd year we've done it. We do a 20, a 40, and a 62-mile tour of Oldham County, and it goes from 6 o'clock in the morning to about 3 in the afternoon. This is the the third year we've done it here. It used to be a 2-day tour in Bardstown before COVID, but when they brought it back, we got them to bring it to Oldham County. Kentucky After Dark is a program that you're going to hear more of recently, but for those people who we were asked for spooky things, like Waverly, the people that like ghost tours, Kentucky After Dark is one of those programs. So that required us to do some research and figure out how it made sense for us to participate in that. So those of you born and raised here who know about Verna Garr and her unsolved murder and whether she was murdered by a lieutenant governor or not, that is part of our Kentucky After Dark campaign, and there are 30 of us communities in Kentucky that are part of that. We were able to do a second round, so we added Duncan Memorial Chapel to that, so it talks about the Duncans' history and them being buried in the floor of the chapel. So that was a really cool program, and I gave out 6 of those just yesterday. Women in Whiskey. This was an awesome event that put us on a national stage with a major high-end luxury magazine called Garden and Gun, if you've ever seen that magazine. It is, in my mind, what Oldham County is representative of. It talks about lifestyle and education and things to do, car shows. It's an awesome magazine. So what we were able to do is bring in the top 5 women in bourbon industry in Kentucky. And what people don't realize is the first female master distiller in Kentucky is from Goshen. Mary Ann Eves is from Goshen, the first female master distiller who went on from Brown-Forman as a master taster to start Castle and Key Distillery. So she came, and 4 of her awesome female friends came, and then we invited all 5 of the top female chefs in Kentucky so they could see what we have to offer in Oldham County. So we had it at Udell Gardens. We did a lunch. If you all know Weta, she came and she is the chef for Kentucky. She did the cooking of the lunch. Everybody else took a piece of it. The Bluegrass Train Experience, we were able to take the 6 major train attractions in Kentucky and make an attraction out of those and be able to include 2 stops in Oldham County. Kentucky Black Trailblazers, which is that picture. We were able to use that. It's an augmented reality experience. If you haven't done that, we just won a major international tech award for that particular project. And we have one in LaGrange, one in Goshen, and one in Westport. We did Westport Walking Tour that's getting ready to come out. The signs are being printed. We have the Oldham County Lewis and Clark Trail that focuses on our parks. We have Oldham County Hometown Tourist. We are in our 6th year for that, where they get to visit 20 different attractions in the county as residents, and they get freebies, and they check in, and then they get a t-shirt in the end. Those are starting to come through. That's through October 4th. That has become so big that we digitized it this year, and it has an app. We are a every month feature in Kentucky Home and Gardens magazine, and this was as a result of our Kentucky Garden Trail new project that we did that featured Creasy Mahan and Udell Botanical Gardens. 12 botanical gardens and arboreta in the state, including 4 universities, and that was my project out of our tourism office. That wasn't us participating in another one. And then we have a monthly episode on Wave 3 with Don G. in my neighborhood. This is the 3rd year that I've done that. So all that being said, how are we doing in Oldham County tourism? How are we doing for the county? So remember, we were trying to do better than 2019 since pre-COVID. So in 2019, our transient room tax budget, which is our sole funding, was $138,600. In 2024, it was $234,000. So that's how much we've increased our transient room tax, which means what we're doing to get people in the county to spend the night is working. For every dollar that we spend in marketing, we bring in about $990, actually I think it's $992 in direct economic impact for the county, generated for the county. In 2019, our total economic impact was 37.9 million. And in '24, it was 83.6 million. That's what the tourism industry does in Oldham County. The number of jobs we have is about the same, so that has come from building tourism, 449. We had about 452 jobs in 2019. 16.6 million in labor income and 5.5 million in local and state tax revenue. The cool thing is, tourism brings visitors to the county, they spend money, they support our businesses, they pay our local taxes, and they go home. They don't cost the community anything. What we can develop as tourism is good for the community. That's kind of a high note to end on.
All right, Kim, thank you. Good job. Got a lot of information here to absorb. And does anybody have any questions or anything? Magistrate Woosley?
Ms. Hotz, you mentioned the $234,000. Where does your funding come from? For the folks at home, where does Oldham County tourism funding come from?
100% transient room tax. So short-term rentals, hotels, and bed and breakfasts. That's it.
Okay. Are we looking at bringing in additional hotels, like a different brand?
Yes. Yes. And I can tell you there have been 2 that I have taken to Clore Station that were interested in that project. So I know there's 2 there. Another one's coming to LaGrange shortly.
And the last question is, do you know how many number of short-term rentals we have available in Oldham County today?
Nearly 65. And I can tell you, too, that our short-term rentals in the county are responsible for a little over 20% of our budget. And had we not written that short-term rental ordinance that started to collect from short-term rentals, we would not have that additional boost.
I've seen you in action. Your passion you showed today is real, and we appreciate what you're doing there.
Thank you.
I did hear you mention Maples Park a couple of times, which is fine. Heard you mention Westport. I think you should include Westport Park, Schomburg Park, in some of these promotions.
They are.
We've spent a lot of money down there, and I didn't hear anything about it at all. So we've got
Schomburg Park is in everything.
We've got a big pavilion down there now, and we've cleared space, and we're doing more. So good.
I couldn't list them all.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kim. The next item on today's agenda we've got some bid openings here. They're going to take a little bit of time. 3 different bid openings, and each bid has a multiple number of bidders. So we'll bear with us on this. The first one is for 6221 Perrin Drive and 6211 Breeze Hill Court, Breeze Hill Road, I mean. Huh?
It's APC, but it's called all-terrain.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. That's all right. Okay, all-terrain paving. This is this bid $39,950. Excuse me, $39,995. $39,995. All right, this is Libs Paving, $83,400. Third bid is AEP Enterprises from Lanesville, Indiana, $54,255. Next bid is from Dan Cristiani Excavation, $120,972. Excel Excavating, $166,635. Okay, Jim, we'll look those over, our county engineer. The next bid is for the fall 2025 milling and paving. Riverside Paving, $2,128,350.75.
That group 1 or 2, Judge?
One. Group one.
Group 1. And 75 cents.
2,128,000.
All right. Next one, Flynn Brothers, $2,417,112 and a nickel. The third bid, Louisville Paving, $2,523,844.29. Mac Construction, $2,659,999.90. Hall Contracting, $2,611,018.03. Wingham Paving, $2,495,255.65. Try to keep these all separate here, as we can. All right, this is the last one. All right, final bid on this group is $1,979,181.50. That's from Libs Paving.
Would you read that again, Judge?
$1,979,181.50.
Thank you.
Just for the record, this is 21 miles of road that's going to be repaved this year. Springs.
Judge, we used to have on these, if they were in good standing with the state of Kentucky. Do we still have that, or?
I think they, go ahead, Jim.
And we've talked about it a couple times before. Pat Metter, the treasurer, mentioned that instead of checking that for everyone and spending that time beforehand, understanding we're only going to award this to one entity, we decided that we would as we move forward, we'll check the low bidder, and as long as they meet those criteria, then we're good to go. So what we'll do is I'll get with Pat Metter after this, and we'll check those.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the final bid openings for the city of Pee Wee Valley, and that is milling and paving for 2025. First bid, Riverside Paving, $117,363.50. The second bid is Flynn Brothers, $105,598.70. Alternative Paving, $221,050.
Is that all-terrain?
Pardon?
All-terrain or
Alternative.
alternative?
What did I say? Alternative? It's all-terrain. Okay. Oh, well, it's hard to get old. All right, Libs Paving, $93,236.60. The next one is Louisville Paving, $150,895.10. Next bid is Mac Construction, $107,171.67. All right, our final one is from Wingham Paving, $120,120.98. We thank all of our participating companies. Appreciate your interest in Oldham County. Of course, only one group gets the bid as long as they meet the specifications and the approval by the Kentucky Secretary of State. Next item on our agenda under county administration is we have our bills to pay, and we'll accept a,
Make a motion to pay the bills?
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on anything in the bills? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the one I inserted in here after payables, and that is this morning, the opioids fund committee met and would like to recommend 3 different awards to be approved by the court. The first one for Operation Parent. This is $88,277.11. For Operation Parent to have handbooks printed for applicable parent handbook and per student for middle school and elementary school, I believe, and high school as well. Yes, that would be 8,539 households involved, so that'd be the number of books for elementary, middle, and high school. There's also a digital option for these books. I think we've got a few of these floating around here. They're extremely nice books, and they have been approved by the Kentucky Opioid Commission for use in eastern Kentucky. They address different drug-related issues that our kids are dealing with that interact with social media, vaping, anxiety, depression, alcohol, gaming, sexting, things that our kids and parents are being forced to deal with. And these books, there's a different one for the high school and the middle school, a different one for grade school. Provided advice and assistance to parents on how to deal with these problems in their household and to help their students grow up to have healthy, productive, and non-threatening lives. So, this is Daryl Bramer's here from Operation Parent. Is there anything more you'd like to say about that, Daryl? I mean, okay, if anybody has any questions, be happy to have you answer them.
Judge, I make a motion we approve out of the opioid fund, lawsuit settlement fund, $88,277.11 for Operation Parent to purchase 8,539 of these handbooks.
I'll second that.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion from the court? Magistrate Hawkins?
There's a little bit of discussion. Historically and inconsistently, we've had some of the receivers of these monies sign an MOU. Are we going to continue to do that, or?
Sign an MOU? I don't think we've had anybody sign any MOUs, have we?
I can tell you that
Okay.
from the Eastern Kentucky schools, we offered that, and no one needed to sign an MOU,
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
memorandum of understanding.
I mean, I don't know what your concern is. This has already been approved by the
Nope.
Opioid Commission for Eastern Kentucky. It can't
Not a
possibly
concern.
fail here.
I think we did it for the TNT event, and we did it for another event too. So not a concern, just a question of
Right.
if that was something that we were going to do or think about doing. We'd done it in the past and didn't know if we were required to do that or thought it would be a good idea.
We were not
It's just a
required.
thought, just an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any other questions here? We have a motion on the second.
I have one.
All right, Magistrate Likens.
This just jumps out at me. 8,000
Mic
something.
on.
8,000 something brochures. Is that what you're saying?
These books that you have in front of you,
Okay.
yes.
For $88,000. That's
Yes.
almost $10 a brochure. I don't hardly get that.
Well,
cost.
it's actually a discounted because we initially sell these, the larger one, for $14.99, and so that's a bulk discount that we're getting from our printer.
Brent, we were paying $7.49 for the smaller ones and $12.49 for the larger ones.
Well, they must not get theirs where I get mine done, but it just seems to be pretty exorbitant to me.
All right. Any other comments about this? I think there's some administration in here too, isn't there?
Yes, yes. Administration, research, inventory, delivery,
Right, I mean, there's more to a book than
and just the
book.
print. Yeah.
There's things that go with it, so.
I
And
haven't-
the state approved about basically the same number, so.
I have another question.
Manager Hawkins,
Would we, for accounting purposes or any other purpose, want to take these in 3 separate motions, or does everyone find it to be okay to do it in one motion, all 3 in one motion?
I think we already have a motion on the
Right.
floor for this, so we'll just deal with this right now.
I'm just trying to make the lives easier of those in your office.
Well, thank you, well, all right. We got a motion on the second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Motion passes 8-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item is Oldham County Health Department is asking that a young group of 10 young people be approved and 4 staff members and to go with chaperones in February to the 2026 CADA Community Anti-Drug Coalition meeting of America. That's in Washington, D.C. And did someone come from the health department here? All right, would you like to say anything about that? All right, we'll answer your questions. There are lots of kids from all over the country attend this, and it's for youth leadership to help instill anti-drug messages in youth and to have them come back and be student leaders in their community. So that'd be for $24,370. Is there a motion to approve this?
Judge, I'll make a motion, we expend out of the opioid settlement fund money $24,370 to send 10 of the youth linking Oldham County members and 4 staff members to the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America Conference in Washington, D.C. The dates on that is February 1st through the 5th of 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on this? And should die?
I believe my question's been answered. You said it's for how many days and nights?
February 1st through the 5th.
First,
February 1st through the 5th. So
well, it's 5 days, 4
5
nights.
days. 5 days,
Okay.
4 nights.
All right, well, I wouldn't have asked the question, but some of the stuff needs to be put into these descriptions. I mean, I know you all in the committee are looking at much more than we're seeing here.
No, it's in,
It's
you
in
were
your
handed this.
handout too you got today.
Well, but yeah, I just got this right before course.
I understand.
So, I mean, I can't do that. Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I wanted.
All right, anyone else? Got a motion second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries, thank you. And the third item here is $4,500 for opioid diversion medication lockboxes. These are to be given out on Drug Take-Back Day in October, but also through a partnership with Baptist Hospital, our drug court, and Family Resource Youth Service Center. These drug boxes are to be used in homes where there are students. The entire purpose is to lock the drugs up so the kids don't get them. So, and that would be $4,500 for that.
Is that the 300 boxes that's in this?
Yep.
Yes.
300 boxes, right. And they'll be given out at the Drug Take-Back Day in October.
Judge, I make a motion, we expend $4,500 out of the opioid lawsuit settlement fund to purchase medication lockboxes from the opioid diversion prevention program.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item here, we'll move on to, in our item B here, in our booklet, this has to do with some personnel items. And I don't see Tina here, so there she is, okay.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
can I just say this before she comes down? And for the rest of fiscal court, this committee, this group that's going to DC, when they come back, they're going to come back to the opioid committee with a report of what they've picked up at the conference. We're going to get some feedback from them and some accountability on it. So.
Right. Thank you, thank you. All right, Tina.
Good afternoon. Before you all are some personnel actions. We have the police department. We have a new hire, Aaron Thornton, a police officer, 5-year lateral, step 4, at $37.18, a base hourly rate, and that's effective on the 22nd of this month.
Judge, I'll make the motion that we hire the new police officer.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next.
Then we have a new SRO, Sherry Bauer, is also a 5-year lateral, step 4, per the attached contract, also effective on the 22nd of this month.
I'll make the motion that we hire the new SRO.
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And then we have a new hire, Tom Rohr, for our technology producer at $34 an hour, effective on the 6th of October.
I'll make the motion that we hire the Tom Orr.
Second.
All right.
Is he just a subcontractor right now?
Yes.
He's under contract right now. Right.
Subcontractor.
Yeah. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we have a,
And the last thing is a resignation from Animal Control, Isabel Eisenhart, effective on the 4th of September. And that's all I have.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have an appointment here to the Library Board of Trustees. I'd like to appoint Lori Ann Roberts for a term to expire October 1st, 2029. Lori has been involved in educational activities in Oldham County, former chairman of their president of the Oldham County Community Foundation, also connected with the University of Louisville, and I think she'll do a good job on the library board. So I'll make that nomination.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right. And I want to thank our chairman who was going off the board, Amanda Ross, who's been there for 8 years and has done a really good job for us. Thank you very much. All right, now, at this point, I'd like to ask that we go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1B regarding discussions concerning the acquisition of real estate property by a public agency for public use when publicity would be likely to affect the value of the specific piece of property, subject to the discussions and of it. And this would be a, we have, in the last, time we went into executive session, there was an objection to what was said going into it. We seem to have been held to a higher standard than has ever been applied here or anywhere else that I'm personally aware of. That we read the KRS, but just to make this perfectly clear, we're going to talk about possibly acquiring a piece of a conservation and recreation property in Oldham County. So, is there a motion we go into executive session?
I'll make that motion, Judge.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to state here at this time, I'd like Mark Nasser, Kevin Nuss, of course, Barry will be there. And do we have anybody else? Okay, to be in the executive session with us. Sorry. Thank you.
I'd like to request a picture be taken. Just a random picture with an employee.
Jim.
There you go.
All right, is there a motion? We go back into session, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Are we going to do,
Are we going to award the bids here? Go ahead. Okay, come up, Mr. Sullivan.
No action coming out of. We did. We voted to come out of. No, it's just coming out of executive session.
you want to do the action first, Judge, before we do,
Pardon?
we want to do the action first before we do the bids? It might be cleaner.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, we authorize the judge to enter into negotiations to purchase a piece of property for the benefit of Oldham County. The purchase price will be ratified at a later court meeting.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries 7-2. Thank you. All right, Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, thank you. What I'd like to do is ask fiscal court to award 2 of the bids that we opened earlier. First, we have the project. It's a stormwater drainage project that will be conducted by fiscal court, but will actually be reimbursed by the Stormwater District Board. It's in their budget for this year. That's a project at 6,221 Perrin Drive and 6,211 Breeze Hill Drive. The low bidder, All Terrain Paving, provided a bid in the amount of $39,995. It's within the budget. I did check, and they are in good standing with the Secretary of the State. I'll ask that when Patrick Metter, the treasurer, check for federal exclusions and ask that fiscal court award that bid contingent on that being Patrick Metter vetting that.
I'll make that motion and we
I'll
approve.
second that.
All right, motion made and seconded to approve that bid. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And secondly, we have the Oldham County Fall 2025 Group 1 paving. Libs Paving was the low bidder at $1,979,181.50. They also are in good standing with the Secretary of State. I'll check with Pat Metter when he returns about their federal exclusions and ask that contingent on that, fiscal court award the project to Libs Paving.
Judge, I'll move that we accept the bids for Libs Paving Company of $1,979,181.50 for the Fall 2025 Group 1 paving, Oldham County.
Second.
All right, discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Judge, I had one question for
Okay,
Jim.
sorry.
What was the budget for the paving? Did that fall within our budget?
That also, yeah, we estimated about 2.2 million. So
2.2, and we're at 1,979.
that's
Okay,
correct.
thank
Bids were very competitive
10%.
on both projects.
All right, I believe we had a little vote, but all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Nobody, I'm sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, we'll wind up today's meeting with a few any final comments from anybody here in the audience. I don't think so. All right, Magistrate Likens, anything you'd like to add today?
Just one, Judge. I was the only dissenting vote on the opioid settlement money being spent, and the reason for that was that if we give somebody a contract, we have to get 3 bids from the county. It's kind of normal, but I think that the price per magazine was just a little bit steep on this, and I think somebody needs to check into anything you say opioid is, it's not free money, it didn't fall out of the sky, so we need to do our due diligence to check to see if the costs are in line with what they should be. So, thank
Okay,
you.
I accept what you're saying. I don't want to debate that with you two, but this was sort of a take it or leave it. This is a unique product that we can't go out and buy off the shelf somewhere else to do exactly what it does.
I know, but what I'm just saying is $11 for this booklet. I'm not in the printing business, but I've had a few things printed, and it just seems high to me. So,
Well, I mean,
More
there's,
than printing.
pardon?
$11 is more than the printing. That's total.
I understand.
Right. In other words, if somebody had to there's overhead to putting together the booklet, getting all done. Printing it's like going to the doctor. You pay for what he knew before you got there, rather than just the time you spent there in the office that day.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So okay, good point. I mean, yeah, sure. Magistrate Tice.
Yes, I'll make this quick. One of the ladies who frequents our meetings before court, Ms. Karen Hustinger, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. We were talking briefly after the meeting. Our Hope Health Clinic that we have, she says it's extremely busy and it does a lot of good for our community. So I just wanted to bring that out. I'm thinking it may be a 501c3. If you've got anything you may want to donate to the community, could be really good because it's doing a lot of good people for Oldham, and I think even Henry and Trimble. So keep that in mind.
All right. Thank you, Magistrate Woosley.
I have several events I want to talk about, but one of those is what Magistrate Tice just talked about, was the Hope Health Clinic. There is a specific event, which is Give for Good Louisville Day, which is Thursday, September 18th. And that day, you can actually donate and goes toward the Hope Health Clinic. The Parks has got several events coming up that I wanted to touch on. One of those is we've been offering bunco on Saturday nights, and we've got several coming up, October 9th, November 20th, and December 11th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the John Black Center, and information on that is on the Parks website. We've also got Spooktacular coming up in October, on October 18th. There's going to be hay rides, trunk and treat, candy will be made available, and hot dogs for sale from 11 to 1 down at Windermore Park. On Saturday, November 8th, we've got the Turkey Trotter 5-miler that starts at Windermore Park. And there's another event that's called the Super Drews Crew that are presenting the Harvest of Luck Fall Festival on November 8th at Third Turn in Crestwood. And finally, there's an Adopt Me Bluegrass Pet Rescue. It's called the Halloweeny Walk. I didn't name it. At Maples Park on October 12th from 12:30 to 3. And that's all I got, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, sir, Judge. I've got three things here. I just wanted to announce that the water tower at Ballardsville behind the Station 1 is being painted. They're in the process of preparing that, and talked to Russ Rose yesterday, and he said, or a couple days ago, and he said it'd probably be a several-week project, but they've got to clean both the interior and the exterior of the water tower, and then going to repaint that. I don't think that has been repainted since that water tower was built back in the late 60s, early 70s. So anyway, that is underway. With the continued extremely dry weather, it's doubtful that the burn ban will be lifted by October 1st. The judge, in consultation with the fire department officials, will make that determination. And Judge, I'm sure you'll make announcements as we get closer to that October 1st date. But as dry as it is, I have doubts that will be lifted at that time. So that's certainly your call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And,
Magistrate Hounds.
Oh, no, I've got one more
sorry.
thing. I'm sorry, Judge. Just one more thing. The Oldham County Beef Cattle Association is going to be hosting a regional beef field day, which is a multi-county in this area, Henry, Trimble, some of the counties up the river, at Fox Hollow Farm in Brownsboro on October 7th. It's going to start at 4:30 and have a meal about 6:30. So if somebody would like to attend, they would need to contact the Oldham County Extension Office to RSVP. That's all I have, Judge.
Okay. Thank you. Magistrate Hounds.
Echo the same thing that Magistrate Jeffrey said about the dry environment. It doesn't take much with the amount of fuel that's on the ground for it to fire to spread. Little early to talk about it, but never too early to talk about it. I guess we've done a food drive in the county for the last 2 or 3 years, and it seems like that the person that starts that seems to start it later. So I'm going to try to start it earlier this year so we can take the advantage. I know that Amy Alvey, the clerk, has offered again to put a box down. She gets a lot of traffic in her area. So we'll try to get those boxes out around the 1st of October for people to help donate for a food drive. October the 4th, which is in a couple weeks, is the Household Hazardous Waste in Oldham County. And it's going to be at the Road Department on number 4 Quality Place. You can start getting your stuff together now. If it is a water-based paint, you can open it up and put some kitty litter or sawdust or something in it, and that water-based paint can go in the garbage can. Zoom tight. But your oil-based paints and oil-based stains and that, you can bring those up, as well as other household chemicals. That is an event that is pretty popular, so if you do plan on attending that event, I would suggest that you get up and get moving early, because last year I only waited in line about 15, 20 minutes, but it's not going to be just a super drive-through like a Chick-fil-A or something. So, thank you.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Nothing today, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. Magistrate Dye.
Nothing, Judge.
Magistrate Logston.
Can't hear you, Michael.
In 15 days, reformulated gas will go down again, so our gas prices should drop at the 1st of October.
All right, thank you for being with us today. We've had a fairly long meeting. It's just about 5 o'clock here, so I'm sure everybody will be happy to hear me say, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.